Good evening. This meeting is called to order. In accordance with LB 898, a copy of the open meetings law is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Welcome to the meeting of Monday, November 20th, 2023. Let us all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silent meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business tonight is as the Board of Equalization, and that is to elect a chair, so I'll open the floor for nominations.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Tom Beckius as the chair of the Board of Equalization.
Second?
Second, Carlson. Go ahead and call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Yay.
The order of business for the Board of Equalization is as follows. Each year, the Lincoln City Council passes a number of improvement district ordinances. Today, we are here to equalize the assessments for several such districts: the Downtown Core Management Business Improvement District, the Downtown Maintenance District, the Downtown Management Business Improvement District, and the West Haymarket Downtown Maintenance District. The land described in each of these districts are benefited by the improvements in the districts. The cost of these services are paid for by the city from its Special Assessment Revolving Fund. It is then necessary for the city to recoup its costs from the benefited properties and reimburse its revolving funds. These costs or assessments are computed by the Urban Development Department and presented to the city for its review when sitting as the Board of Equalization, as we are now. The clerk will read a description of each district individually. After the district is read, a representative from the Urban Development Department will come forward to make a brief statement about the district. Then anyone wishing to testify may come forward. We ask that if you do come forward to please state your name and sign in sheet, and please sign in at the sheet at the podium. Clerk, would you please call the first item?
Okay, first item is Downtown Core Management Business Improvement District, generally bounded by N Street on the south of Pinnacle Arena Drive on the west, thence north and northeasterly along Pinnacle Arena Drive to 8th Street, then south along 8th Street to S Street, thence east along South S Street to 9th Street, then south along 9th Street to Q Street, thence east along Q Street to 10th Street, thence north along 10th Street to a point approximately mid-block between Q Street and R Street, thence east along said mid-block point to 14th Street, thence south along 14th Street to Q Street, thence east along Q Street to Centennial Mall, then south along Centennial Mall to M Street, thence west along M Street to 13th Street, then south along 13th Street to L Street, thence west along L Street to 12th Street, thence north along 12th Street to M Street, thence west along M Street to 9th Street, thence north along 9th Street to N Street, thence west along N Street to Pinnacle Arena Drive. Downtown Maintenance District is extending from 7th Street on the west of 17th Street on the east and from R Street on the north to M Street on the south, including the properties abutting on the west side of 7th Street from N Street to R Street, the east side of 17th Street from Q Street to M Street, the north side of R Street from 7th Street to 10th Street, the south side of M Street, and the 8th Street to 17th Street, both sides of 13th Street from M Street to Lincoln Mall and all of Cornhusker Square. Downtown Management Business Improvement District, generally bounded by N Street on the south of Pinnacle Arena Drive on the west, thence north and northeasterly along Pinnacle Arena Drive to 9th Street, then southeasterly along 9th Street to I-180 to a point approximately mid-block between R and Q Street, thence east along said midpoint to 14th Street, then south along 14th Street to Q Street, then east along Q Street to 17th Street, then south along 17th Street to K Street, then west along K Street to 14th Street, then south along 14th Street to a point approximately mid-block between Lincoln Mall and H Street, then west along said mid-block point to 10th Street, then south along 10th Street to K Street, then west along K Street to 8th Street, then north along 8th Street to N Street, then west along N Street to Pinnacle Arena Drive. West Haymarket Downtown Maintenance District, generally located along the west line of Outlot C, West Haymarket addition from approximately K Street on the south, north to N Street and continuing north along the center line of Pinnacle Arena Drive to approximately 9th and 10th Streets, then south to R Street, then west to 7th Street, then south to O Street, then east to 8th Street, then south to the alley south of N Street, then west to the east line of Outlot C, West Haymarket addition.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome.
Good evening, Ron Kane with the Urban Development Department. I'm the staff person that prepared these proposed assessments before you. All of the districts are based on expenditures that were incurred between September 1 of 2022 and August 31 of 2023. Both of the maintenance districts are assessed on a per foot basis, and the two management districts are based on valuations as determined through the county assessor. And I'm here tonight to answer any questions you may have regarding the calculation of the assessments.
Very good. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. We appreciate it. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to comment on the Board of Equalization action before us here today? Anyone from the public? Yes, please come forward.
And as a reminder, clerks will utilize the timing system here and the monitors on both podiums. It will start with your start time. The color green will indicate your start time for testimony, yellow would be your 1 minute remaining, and the red would be your stop time.
Okay. My name is Deborah White. I live at 128 North 13th Street here in Lincoln. I do not believe the way funds are collected for downtown maintenance and improvement is equal or fair. I would like to suggest with the City Council to have them revise the way residents are currently paying for the maintenance and improvement of downtown. I was told by a Department of Urban Development to think of it in this way. People that live in Lincoln take care of their home yards and improve them, make them nice. So since I live downtown, I should make downtown nice. But I don't think it's right for residents that live downtown to improve and maintain downtown for others who live in Lincoln, who live in the state of Nebraska, and who live outside the state that come here and enjoy the downtown area events, Husker Games, Lead Center, Pinnacle Bank Arena, shopping, and restaurants, and that I and other residents have to pay to make it nice for them because I can't go and have a picnic in their yard. A fair and equal way would be to stop the assessment of downtown homeowners and to add a very small tax increase as an entertainment tax to all the sales tax to the downtown jurisdiction. That way, it would make it fair and equitable for all of those who use the downtown to help contribute to the beautification of downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to testify today on this item? Anyone else here who would like to testify? Very good. Any questions at all for staff?
I have a question.
Yes. Councilwoman, please proceed.
Mr. Kane. My question, it may be for you, maybe it's for urban development, but since you prepared these, can you tell me how many residences are within the downtown improvement district?
Well, that'd be hard to pull that number off the top of my head, but when you consider the number of condo units between University Towers, Raymond Brothers, Centerstone, Georgian Place,
Okay.
You're talking several hundred units.
Okay, and are each of the condo units assessed the way you described we look at the assessment, the value?
Well,
Linear
within the
the
residential units are not assessed at full value. They're assessed at 45% of the value as determined by the county assessor's office, as opposed to the commercial units are at 100%.
Okay, so 45%, and then they have a per foot as well?
They do have a per foot, but it's based off of the building. There's a master warranty deed out there that has the percentage of shared cost so therefore I use that warranty deed. So some may be only 2% of the overall building, whereas some may be closer to 14%. But then that ratio is applied towards the overall buildings, or the lot that the building sits on footprint.
Okay.
So say if it's a corner lot, you have 142 feet on one side, 50 on another, you got 192 feet, but that one unit that's only maybe 2% is only paying 2% of that 192 feet.
All right, thank you. That's
Okay.
actually clear.
All right, very good. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. I would entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we accept this report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? All right, seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
I will now accept a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn the Board of Equalization.
Second.
Second, Washington. Please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, let's go ahead and move into our regular city council meeting now at this point in time. Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of November 20th, 2023. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. The order of business of the Lincoln City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization or group, including an address, that you may be representing, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization, or group, and whether you are speaking in favor of or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date nor planned for a future agenda. This is the last meeting of the month of November. Before we get started on our agenda, we have some special guests here today. I would like to invite Ms. Beltran up to tell us a little bit about our guests. Welcome.
Thank you, City Council Beckius. I appreciate it. So today we have My City Academy soon-to-be graduates. They are the 5th cohort, so we've got 5 of them here present today. We have Reina, Hayim, Marcela, Susana, and Vivian. And they are completing a 7-week course of My City Academy. So we're excited to have them here today and for them to see how our city government actually works. You know, as you all know, this program was initially started under a grant and currently has been, we've been working in participation with Appleseed to continue this program. And it is exciting to see how much they are interested in becoming part of our city government, commissions and boards, and also how much they have learned about what our city does as a whole. And so seeing them become leaders, and they are leaders already respectfully in our community, but then seeing them actually want to continue that leadership has been great. So I'd like to introduce them. I already have. So thank you very much for this time, and I believe County Commissioner Krista Yoakum will have a few words here.
Very good. Commissioner, welcome.
Good evening. It's been a while since I've been on this side. But it's great to be here with you, and Francisca did a wonderful job of introducing everyone except
Oh, we missed
Alexander
one.
there on the end.
Hello.
But I think that you all are aware of the value of this program, and Francisca did a great job of introducing that. So I don't really have much to add, except that if you get the opportunity, if you get an invitation to speak with this group, please do. There will be another cohort, hopefully in the spring, and hopefully another one next fall. This is an ongoing program as Francisca said, this is the 5th cohort, and some of the people have been appointed to committees, and that's a great way to get engaged. But even better than that, is it's been a mutual learning space where people on the fire department and the police department, myself, when I speak with them, we have learned from them as well about what we need in the community, about what works, what doesn't, that sort of thing. So it's just a great opportunity to have that kind of deeper community engagement for all of us.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting. We are so glad that you're here, and congratulations on next week's graduation. Thank you. All right. Madam Clerk, would you please start us off with our first item of business tonight?
Our first item of business is a reminder that due to the Thanksgiving holiday, City Council will not meet on Monday, November 27th, 2023. Next would be our consent agenda, sections 1, 2, and 3.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak on any items under the consent agenda that those are sections item 1, 2, or 3? Mr. Christie, welcome.
Yes, Johansi Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10th. The first item on the agenda, asking that it be withdrawn. This is not an appointment that needs to go in front of the City Council. It is through Human Services on the county side. While we, of course, work together for this, this is not work together with this. This is not one of the appointments that has gone before the City Council or that needs to go before the City Council. So,
All right, very good. Thank
happy
you.
to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Or try to.
I don't see any. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on any item under sections 1, 2, or 3? Anyone else here for anything on the consent agenda items 1, 2, or 3? All right. See none, Madam Clerk.
We can have vote on these items. Item 1A is appointing Ingrid Christie to the Keno Human Services Advisory Board for a term to expire December 31st of 2025. I need a motion to withdraw.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, Weber. Please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1B is reappointing Craig Anderson, Brendan Moore, and James Murphy to the Veterans Memorial Garden Advisory Council for terms to expire November 1st of 2026, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1C is approving the professional services agreement supplement number 2 for environmental services between the city and Olson Associates for the 84th Street and US 6 intersection safety project, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Carlson?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1D is approving the professional services agreement supplement number 3 for preliminary engineering services between the City of Lincoln and Olson Associates for the 84th Street and US 6 intersection safety project, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, items 2A through 2D were introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Weber. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Washington?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. That concludes our consent agenda. We shall move on to section 4, public hearing liquor resolutions. I'll call items 4A and 4B together. Item 4A is application of Roland Group LLC doing business as Ollie's for a Class I liquor license located at 325 South 11th Street and the related manager application of Skylar R. Roland.
Is there anyone here to speak on items 4A or 4B? Hi, welcome. Please come on down.
My name's Skylar Rowland. First time doing this, so I was a little...
Nope, you're fine. Just give us an address. A business address is fine.
Yeah, 325 South 11th Street here in Lincoln.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about your application?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we applied last month it was, and we're just trying to go through the motions and see what we can do to get this going and start a business and kind of start building our lives around it. And
Okay.
just hoping to answer any questions you guys might have.
Good deal. Well, I'll start off. Tell me, 325 South 11th. I'm trying to picture that. Where's Ollie's going to be?
Yeah, so there's a few bars
Yep.
in that area. I know Variations is there. Muchachos is across
Yep.
the street there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, a bunch of good stuff. There's a strip club at the corner that
Sure. Sure.
we're pretty pumped
Okay.
about.
Okay. Very good. I was just trying to get an idea
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
specifically where you were. Okay. I didn't have any additional questions. Council, yes, Councilwoman Washington.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a question. I saw your application, but I did not see that you had signed up for a training or had completed your
Yeah,
training.
I actually just recently signed up for that. I talked with Scott over at LPD, and he was advised me that I probably should do that. So I have a class on the 14th of December that I'm going to, so it's in the works.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Very good. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none. Thanks so much for coming down. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on items 4A and 4B? Anyone else here for items 4A or 4B? Okay, let's move on to 4C.
I'll call items 4C and D together. Item 4C is application of Silverado Sales, Inc., doing business as Misfits, for a Class CK liquor license located at 311 North 8th Street, Suite 1, and the related manager application of Nicholas T. Rowan.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Nicholas Rowan, 311 North 8th Street, owner at Misfits Bar.
All right, very good. Will you tell us a little bit about your application?
This will be our 4th bar that we've owned. We also own another restaurant here in Lincoln, DP Dough. We've been in Lincoln for 4 years, coming up on 5. Family business, corporation that owns furniture stores, restaurants, bars throughout the state.
All right, very good. Misfits is kind of a fun name. Tell us a little bit about this specific business.
This one is kind of one of those where we wanted people's heads to turn when they walk in. Good food, a little bit higher notch, so we labeled ourselves as a dive bar. But when you walk in, you order food, and then the food comes out, and it's, wow, this isn't what I was expecting. High quality burgers, good food, serving food till 1 a.m. down in the Haymarket, which is kind of a niche that's needed down there. Everybody else seems to close early. We are the late night kings in town already. Our other restaurant stays open till 4 a.m., 7 days a week, so.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 4 a.m. and we deliver citywide.
Some of us aren't up that late.
Or up
Or that early.
I'm just cooking that time, but I can come to your
Councilman
place
Diep,
instead?
Oh, we'll bring it to you.
Perfect.
So,
All right.
God bless America.
Any other questions for our applicant here tonight?
I
Yes,
had one
Councilwoman.
question. Yeah, I noticed on the application that there was 100% ownership for one person on the application and nothing listed on the other. Is that accurate?
I'd have to look at that. It's held under a trust,
Okay.
so it could be that that's what it is.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, see none. Thanks so much for coming down. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 4C or 4D? Anyone else here for items 4C and 4D? Okay, see none. Madam Clerk. Oh,
My turn?
I'm
I'm
apologize.
sorry,
Councilman
I
Show.
was still thinking about eating.
Councilman Show, please.
Mr. Chair, seeing no one else coming forward on these items, I'd like to move approval of items 4A through 4D.
Second.
Second, Washington. All right, Madam Clerk, let's call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Only, you want to respond to her? Yeah.
Items, testimony is concluded on items 4A through 4D, but we will have additional testimony opportunities later, depending on what you're here to testify on.
So can I still come and testify?
We are unfortunately done with testimony on 4A through 4D. At the very end, yep, there's open testimony tonight at the very end of the meeting. Yep. Madam Clerk, let's move on to section 5.
Section 5, excuse me, public hearing resolutions. Item 5A is approving the City of Lincoln Flood Mitigation Master Plan.
Director Elliott, Superintendent Zoc, welcome.
Thank you and good evening. For the record, Liz Elliott, Director of Lincoln Transportation Utilities, 555 South 10th, Suite 208.
And Tim Zock, Superintendent of Stormwater with LTU Watershed Management Division, 555 South 10th Street.
Wanting to come talk to you a little bit about Flood Mitigation Master Plan. And Tim and I, so you don't have to listen to just one of us kind of drone on, we thought we'd spice it up and kind of share. We have a quick presentation that we'll walk you through and open to any questions that you guys have afterwards. So we've got a little PowerPoint, hopefully. Switch over. All right.
Iola.
We're ready. Okay. So just a really brief overview of what we're going to briefly talk about. I know looking at this, it looks like we're going to be up here an hour, but I promise you we're not. We really just want to hit on why are we here? Why are we doing this? What is a flood mitigation master plan? And how does this fit in? You guys have heard us a lot about our watershed stormwater efforts. And so how does this fit into everything else that's going on? And then kind of what is it? And the public engagement. What have we done up to this point to really engage the community and the residents and help them help explain what this is and how this benefits them? And then what are the recommendations? What does it really mean if you approve this plan here tonight? And then any questions that you have after. So looking at why we are here, our number one priority is to keep our residents and our communities safe. We know that based on rainfall data, not projections, but based on rainfall data, we are getting more rain every year. So there's a higher risk of flooding within our community. And so the Flood Mitigation Master Plan is one of multiple efforts that we're undertaking to address this and pull everything together into a strategic, cohesive plan. And we don't have to say, oh, this may happen someday. We can look at these photos that are as recent as 2015 and the floods that hit our community to the point where we actually had to have people rescued from their homes and damage that we've seen. Here we've got the vehicles that are pretty much completely underwater on Old Cheney near US 77. We have homes throughout the city that were severely damaged, if not destroyed, from this flooding back in May of 2017. Again, we have at least 174 because of the flooding that also impacted some of our other infrastructure. People were cleaning out for months and years after that. Going on. So what actually, the pictures say a lot, but really what does that mean? Because it really comes down to dollars and cents for all of us, whether it's our own personal home or our community that is having to clean up from this. And we know from experience that insurance is, even if you have flood insurance, it's not likely to pay for all of the damage that you're gonna sustain. So using the national FEMA calculations, algorithms, and models that they have, just looking at Salt Creek, here in Lincoln, under our current rainfall conditions, 2013, our community would see about $510 million in damage if we had that 100-year flood there on Salt Creek. But looking forward, now using those projected rain totals, going out as far as about 75 years from now, 2100, that grows because, again, the rain is projected to increase, and we're looking at $862 million if we do nothing. And so that's really what all of our stormwater and watershed efforts really are trying to mitigate, is we want to protect this as much as possible. And kind of looking at historical, some of the efforts that we have done, we all know Antelope Valley Project. Based on all of the calculations and the cost benefit of that, it was projected that it would protect over $69 million since it was completed, and it removed over 800 homes from the floodplain. We also had over the last several decades, the Salt Creek dams and levee system that have been in place. And those are estimated to have protected our community over $330 million since the 1960s. One thing that I want to point out, both of these systems took decades, over 20 years to build. So this is on our horizon. This is something that we're looking at in the future. But to do something like these two systems, it's decades, even if we're starting now. So yes, it is one step, and they do give us some protection, but it's not the only thing. It's not going to completely take away flood risks. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tim, and he can kind of walk us through how does this fit in with all of the other things like the BRIC grant, the guide, the manual and stuff that we have. So.
Yeah. And so we put this graphic together because we have a lot of things that we're working on right now and trying to figure out how they fit together, and I wanted to be able to communicate that to you. The foundation is our flood maps. That's what informs us of the flood risk and what we make a lot of decisions based on those flood maps. Our maps are outdated. They're based on rainfall data from the 1960s and outdated topography, and so we're starting the process with FEMA to update the flood maps so we have more accurate information to be able to then base our decisions on and inform our community. As we move up then into the blue is once we know the flood risk, then we look at solutions to decrease that risk. The Flood Mitigation Master Plan is one of those efforts, and we're going to get into more details on that. The Salt Creek Resiliency Study was another one of those, and the Comprehensive Watershed Master Plan that we brought forward within the last year was another of those efforts to identify solutions. And then from there, we move up at looking at implementing those solutions. So studying the feasibility of different measures or projects, actually designing, constructing, implementing those programs, all with the goal of keeping our communities safe from flooding. So with getting into the Flood Mitigation Master Plan, I do want to say this was a partner with the Lower Platte South Natural Resources District. I have Mark Lindeman here with the Lower Platte South NRD, and they have always been a great partner with us and continue to be a great partner in our efforts for flood mitigation. So this Flood Mitigation Master Plan, it's a planning exercise. It's really to identify what are the risks that we have, what are the hazards we face, and work through a very defined process that's outlined by FEMA to set goals, to review our activities, and then ultimately to draft our action plan. And the purpose of this plan is, one, to understand our flood risk. And so we went through that hazard analysis to identify what's the dollar amount at risk of flooding, what's the future damages, and then identify what we're currently doing and what we can continue to do, additional things we can do to mitigate that flood risk, what projects and actions we can be doing. The other purpose is really this plan helps us be eligible for FEMA funding. So actions that are recommended in the plan can then be eligible for FEMA grant funding. And finally, this helps us reduce flood insurance premiums for Lincoln residents. And so how are we helping reduce flood insurance premiums? Well, FEMA has a program called the Community Rating System that it rewards communities for different activities that we take. And so the City of Lincoln is a participant in this program, and we earn points for the different floodplain management activities that we do. And based on all of the work that we do, we have earned a Class 5. 9 is the lowest, 1 is the highest, and that provides all flood insurance policyholders with a 25% reduction in flood insurance premiums. And we were recently audited by FEMA this last year, and they just gave us verification that we've maintained that Class 5 rating. And so we're continuing to provide that reduction in flood insurance premiums. This plan is following FEMA's defined process, and it helps gain us additional points in this program and helps position us to potentially move up in their rating system to continue to increase the discounts for our residents and property owners. And so with this plan, when we looked at, the first purpose was to identify a flood risk. The floodplain covers about 16% of the city, and so there's a risk of flooding from, creeks flooding. There's also a risk in neighborhoods from the storm drain system, so the closed pipes under the ground that may not be large enough to convey stormwater. Those can flood, as well as there's risk from dams and levee failures. And so that was the first step, to identify the risks. And then from there, we moved into identifying, potential actions. But next, I want to talk about what were the engagement efforts that we did. FEMA has requirements for these plans. We have to have an open house. We have to have a planning committee. But we wanted to make sure we were doing more to make sure that we were hearing from people that live in the floodplain, people that own businesses in the floodplain, and get input from them on this plan. So we put a lot more effort into our public open house. We had almost 50 people attend, which was a really good turnout for our watershed studies. We also had a couple online surveys that got a lot of really good feedback from. And then we reached out to different neighborhood organizations, community organizations, to present this plan to them, have a discussion, and get their feedback. We were lucky to have Councilman Weber at one of those meetings, and we received a lot of really good input from those outreach efforts, and we incorporated that into the plan. And so there are 30 recommended actions in the plan. 9 of those were added after our engagement efforts based on the feedback we received. I didn't list all of them here. I kind of highlighted some of them, but the ones in bold are ones that we added based on the input we received. The 2 I wanted to highlight are in the public information column in yellow. One of the things that was discussed was that renters don't often know that they're in a floodplain. And generally about 50% of people that live in the floodplains are renters. And so that was something we hadn't thought about. And so through that discussion, we added 2 actions. One to look at how we can incentivize or require landlords to inform their tenants that they're living in a floodplain, because there's really no disclosure process for renters. And then the other one was just to have targeted outreach to renters, to let them know that they are living in a floodplain, what they can do, what the risk of flooding may be. And so we really appreciated that, the feedback we received, and I think it really helped to make this plan something we can really use. So then next steps with this, this plan it's the flood mitigation plan, so it's just looking at flooding. But the Lower Platte South NRD, they have an all-hazard mitigation plan. The city is a partner community in that plan, so we will be incorporating this flood mitigation master plan into their plan. They're planning to update their hazard mitigation plan here in the next couple of years. Also, we'll be evaluating activities in the plan and looking how we can implement them. We're required to put together an annual evaluation and to kind of evaluate the work that's been done. And then ultimately, this plan will need to be updated every 5 years to meet FEMA's requirements. And so with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
And I think one thing I just want to clarify or highlight is this plan is not, if you vote yes, let's approve this, it's not saying yes, go out and require landlords to do this. It's to say, go look into that and see if that is something we want to do, and that those additional steps would be taken further action later on, just like the manual that came before City Council and those other ones. So these are really just action items that we want to look further into and explore, rather than saying, yes, tonight by saying you're doing this, you're going to require landlords to do this. That's not the case. It's just saying, go look into these action items. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Questions, comments? Councilwoman.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment. One, I think this has been a lot of really good work. I appreciate how thorough this seems to be. I think when you highlighted where the flooding risks are and you actually name it by neighborhoods, it makes it more real for folks who live in different parts of the community, because I think we really focus on like the South Salt Creek and the North Bottoms, but to see other neighborhoods lined out, I think is really important. And then based on that, I did notice that your planning committee involved one neighborhood association, and though I'm thrilled that you went and talked to other neighborhood associations, I would really encourage you to have someone from each of the neighborhoods who are at risk of flooding to be on your planning committee, because I think this is one of the ways that you actually achieve some of those goals of letting renters know that they're in a flood risk, and letting neighborhoods that don't get all the press know that they're also at a flood risk. So if you would just put that in the back of your hats, this isn't a dictate. I'm not making a motion. I'm just
Thank you.
No,
All
absolutely.
right, very good. Councilman Duden, and then we'll go to Councilman Weber.
Thanks, Tom. Liz, is there a website where they can watch, learn more about this so that the people listening tonight would know how to look this up, that sort of thing?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, because we do want to bring everybody to the website. So they can go to the city's website, and if they type in watershed?
Yeah, watershed's probably the easiest. Type in watershed
And
in
then
the
it'll
search
take
bar. And there's a button for studies, and this is one of the studies there,
Okay.
the Flood Mitigation Master Plan.
Very
Yep.
good.
That's
Thank
probably
you.
the best way, because then you go to the whole website and you can find a bunch of stuff, but this one particularly under the studies.
Councilman Weber?
Thank you, Chair Beckius. I just want to thank Superintendent Zock and his team for incorporating education to renters about being in the floodplain. You know, as one of the renters on the city council, I appreciate it. But I know that was a concern that was brought up in our meetings with the Belmont community. And so I appreciate incorporating that into this plan and look forward to approving it.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, thank you both so
Thank you.
much. We
Thank you very
appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5A? Come on down. Adam, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. My name's Adam Hintz, 1919 Prospect Street, representing Friends of Wilderness Park on their behalf. Wilderness Park is dedicated to the celebration and preservation of Lincoln's largest park and the watershed, which it's a part of. First, I would like to congratulate Watershed on two things. One, the continuation of Lincoln's flood insurance rating, keeping a discount of 25% is a huge savings for our citizens. And if you listened, it's a 1 to 9 rating, so there is room for improvement. So looking forward to improving and saving people even more money. Second, the process that was used for this was very healthy and very well done. It was inspired by the Bloomberg Harvard City Leader Guide on Civic Engagement, I believe. There's a few city folks that went up and learned this new process of engagement, and it really came to life in this. I know there was a little bit of a pause during the process just so they could implement some of those ideas, and so I think it went very well. I know Friends of Wilderness Park, we felt very heard, and obviously the renters felt very heard, so I think that's really proof that a lot of great things happened through this process. Let's see here. We do want to go a little into the plan. Now, Friends of Wilderness Park is very sensitive to anything that would affect the watershed. Anything that happens upstream affects the park and the life within it, and then affects our neighbors with their lives downstream. There are 4 actions in this plan, and I know that it takes a while for the Elmo to start working. And so the 4 actions in this plan is something that we did give input into, and thankfully Tim and Watershed kind of raised that and brought some stuff into the plan. One of them is the preserve the floodplain, which is an action where we're really grateful that this was added into the plan to highlight the need to protect and improve riparian corridors. You know, the floodplain is a living organism. And I think a lot of times we want to control it and hem it in and kind of dominate it. But I think a lot of people, once you look in hindsight at flooding, if you just let the water be the water and just allow it to be itself, and respecting that is not a lot of money to do that, and you get a lot of benefit out of respecting that. The second is on 102. Improved incentive for cluster and conservation design. Conservation design is something that our community really has to gravitate to. The effects of development on our watershed, if we can find ways to lighten that load or just eliminate that load, it'd be huge for people living downstream, not just the living creatures in Wilderness Park, but all of our neighborhood friends too. The third one is deed restrictions. Did I get these out of order? Yeah, deed restrictions, which is critical to preserve the pocket prairies, the oak woodlands and wetlands that have been provided to us. No amount of restoration will ever serve the same full function as our natural legacy. So, we can create wetlands, we can create oak woodlands, but the natural existence of prairies, forests, those have benefits beyond just flood protection and stuff like that. And those need to be respected and kept intact. And then the fourth thing is native vegetation requirements. So this is, again, the preservation or enhancement, which also must be a gravity of our community. This is a very low-cost option. If you can see, it only costs $50,000 to do. And there are things in this plan which we would love to see elevated. And this is something that Friends of Wilderness Park will work towards with Watershed and other community members to make sure these types of things happen. It's looking at these plans and seeing these little lights of hope gives us a lot of solace that the city does care about our natural legacy. And it's really up to the community and to Watershed to really follow up, push in, and get these things done. So we look forward to that, increasing maybe priorities in the plan here. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Adam? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to testify on item 5A? Welcome, Gene.
Good evening. My name is Gene Hanlon. I live at 2710 Ryan Street, and I want to express my support for the Flood Mitigation Master Plan. I think the staff has done an excellent job at that. And as you know, climate change is bringing more severe and heavy rain events. And as Tim Zock indicated, our current floodplain maps are sorely out of date. A majority of those people living in the floodplain are low income or minority members. This is an important environmental justice issue in my mind. And it's essential for the city to protect the health and safety of its residents, and this master plan is one way to do that. An example of this is the recommendation to expand the no adverse impact policy citywide for all developments rather than the current policy of just focusing on growth areas. It only makes sense that any development that occurs can have a downstream impact on stormwater runoff, so it should be citywide. If we want to have a climate-smart future, we must start building for it today and implement the actions identified in the master plan. Unfortunately, some of the actions have a low or medium priority level, and I encourage you and the city staff to consider raising those levels. I'd like to identify 4 action steps, recommendations in the plan that I'd like to see the staff consider raising those at least one priority level. The first deals with evaluate and plan for implications of continued climate change. And, as changes in climate occur, there's a need to evaluate the plan implications on the future and how it affects flooding in the city. The city's policies, design standards, regulations, and current assets like stormwater drain pipes and things need to be updated. And I know that takes time to do. That's currently a medium priority. I'd like to see that move up and be a high priority for the city. The other action is to evaluate preservation of open space for flood attenuation purposes and options for enhancing those areas with native vegetation to store water and grade controls to stabilize stream banks, minimize flood corridors and floodplains through incentives and other requirements. This is currently a low priority in the master plan. It would be nice to have that at least a medium priority if possible. And update the final plat requirements so that finished floor elevations meet the freeboard requirements based on all future flood maps, if it's higher than the elevation set in the final plat. It seems to me that it only makes sense that final plats reflect higher freeboard requirements to protect their investment that they make. This is a low priority in the plan. I'd like to see if the city might consider raising that to a medium. And the last, Adam Hintz mentioned improving the incentives for cluster subdivision and conservation design. You know, this is the type of conservation design our community desperately needs if we wish to have a climate-smart community. This is a medium priority level, and it's on page 102 of the plan. I'm really glad that the flood mitigation master plan will be updated every 5 years. This is the best way for Lincoln to protect the health and safety of our residents from flood hazards and have a climate-smart future. Thank you for your service and your leadership on this issue.
Thank you, Gene. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak on item 5A? Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Emily Koopman. I am a stakeholder in the Belmont community and a resident in Clinton, 1701 North 32nd Street. I'm here to support the flood mitigation master plan. I was at the Belmont community meeting where this information was presented, and I think one thing that I will say that I really appreciated was this is a lot of information that if you're not an engineer would be very hard to understand, but I felt like the information was brokered well to our community. I feel like they spent quality time entertaining our questions, some that maybe had nothing to do with the master plan, but we were trying our best to understand. And just a lot of patience, a lot of good information. And then not only that, but then to come to this meeting and to see that our feedback about protection for renters in our community made it into what they're presenting to you today, built a lot of trust between their department and our communities. So I support the master plan, and that's all I need to say about it.
Very good. Thank you so much for coming down. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5A? Anyone else here for 5A? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to 5B.
Item 5B is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23014, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan, a proposed new industrial avenue and Superior Street redevelopment plan that encompasses 153 acres that will include the Kinney Industrial District project for the development of commercial and industrial buildings generally located at 33rd and Superior Streets.
Director, welcome.
Hi, Peter Hine, Director of Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. I got them all in there. Yeah, this is a great project that we've been working on in our office for a while. This is a comprehensive plan conformance, and I'll just go through a couple of highlights. We do have the applicant here, and I'll show you a map as well. As was mentioned, it's 153 acres, and this is a true project where the effort of this is really to get infrastructure here for this project to be developed, specifically roads. The City Council declared the redevelopment area blighted and substandard on July 24th, 2023. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the redevelopment plan on October 18th, 2023. And the redevelopment area encompasses, I'll just show you this plan. Can I put it up here? There we go. So we have the entire site, which is industrial, Superior, and then I'll just point out that 33rd Street is running right through here. This portion that I'm indicating isn't built yet. And so we have the project site, which is in red, which is where the first lots will be created and the first project will be created. I can come back to these if there's questions. And just more specifically, I'll show this map here. The improvements are everything that you see here bounded by this, but the first effort for TIF that we're going to come back to you later on is actually constructing the road to serve Block 3, which is the first development, which is by Kinney Industries, a 200,000 square foot building, which is condensing their efforts here in Lincoln on the eastern side of the site. They're consolidating everything here. They will construct 200, as I mentioned, 200,000 square feet. And then the other lots around it will be future development for industrial development around them. This also helps us plan for the extension of 33rd Street running north in the future and improves the intersection on Superior as well. And so this is a true project of using TIF funds that we're going to be looking at for this public infrastructure project. And if the applicants want to come up, if there's anybody that wants to say anything more, if there's any questions from anybody for me before I sit down on this one.
Any questions? Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Hyde, for coming up. Would you put the map up again that shows the proposed road from 33rd?
Sure.
And Cornhusker to 33rd and Superior?
So you can see here that 33rd, right now, everything that is below here, this would all be future construction. And then this intersection will be constructed on Superior Street and 33rd Street South, and then to the west, so that you could access in the first phase everything to the south on this is the first lot here. And then there's 4 lots to the north, and then the future lots to the east here.
Thank you. That was very helpful. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman.
Mr. Hine, Director Hine, would you explain what the bright pink?
All that is so that my eyesight works well, and that's Block 3, which is the place where the first building is going to be built on this lot, which is the 200,000 square foot.
Thank you.
I need color to help.
You need color to be able to really see that. Okay. This is a really interesting project, especially juxtaposed against the item we just heard. So since this is on the Salt Creek, I'm just sort of curious, what kind of additional planning is being taken to make certain that the industrial development that we're in this area doesn't do any additional?
I know the project engineer is here. Do you want to come up and talk about that, or do you want to talk first?
We can grab, well, it doesn't matter.
And let the really smart person talk about that issue, because there's been lots of conversations about it.
Why don't you go ahead and come on up?
Good evening. Rick Anand with ENA Consulting, 701 O Street. So the plan here would be in conformance with recent changes or recently adopted policy by LTU that all buildings be elevated 2 feet above the existing base flood elevation. So that will require a fair amount of import of soil into this area. Most of the area is considered out of the floodplain now. There will be some fill within in floodplain areas. Anything that we are placing within that 33rd Street corridor, we will compensate for with cut to make up for any lost storage. But that's the general strategy for dealing with flood for this property.
What about water quality?
There's some unique things going on this site. So for water quality, we are proposing to use what we call hydrodynamic separator. It is a mechanical system that water runs through and it removes contaminants, sediments, those kinds of things, and then it periodically needs to be cleaned out. But because there are some contaminated soils in the area, we opted for that versus a typical pond type treatment system.
And will that be in operation during construction as well as post-construction?
During construction, we will have other means for controlling stormwater. Yeah, that will be constructed in kind of in conjunction with the stormwater or storm sewer system. So kind of halfway through the process, I guess.
And when do you think you're going to start construction?
The goal is to have construction underway next year. If we can beat the weather, we'd like to have paving done before the weather turns next fall.
Right, very good. Councilman Duden, do you want to have Director Hein come back up?
No, I've got a question about the engineering part of it. You're talking about the buildings being elevated 2 feet. Does that also mean the roads will be elevated 2 feet?
33rd Street will be elevated above the base flood elevation. There will be some areas, small areas of the kind of side streets, I would say, that will be below the flood elevation, just so we can create slope and drainage. And then the piping system from there is designed to handle a 100-year event to get it to the creek. So if you think in a localized storm, we can get the water to the creek. If the creek comes up and it's a major large area storm, we may have some areas that are of the street that are ponded for a period of time, but it would be a short period.
By raising that area, does that hurt the areas that are lower surrounding it?
No, it's kind of a unique area right now. The areas that are low are really around the perimeter of the property. Actually, most of the low-lying areas are abutting NRD-owned property. So the trail on the west side, and then the NRD actually owns the land around the Salt Creek on the east. And so we're not impacting other properties, if you will.
Okay.
All right, very good. Any other questions for Rick, or Director Hein? We've kind of gone in a crazy order.
I'll be brief. You can bring him back up if you need to. Danae Kalkowski, 1128 Lincoln Mall, Suite 105, on behalf of the client who has a purchase agreement to purchase the property from Miller Seed Company here. So Baby Bull LLC, but owned by the principals who own Kinney Manufacturing. And so obviously appearing in support of the redevelopment plan. This will allow Kinney Manufacturing to move forward with the redevelopment project that allows them to take a Lincoln business that's already grown exponentially and continue to grow and provide jobs and revenue for our community, in a manufacturing business in our community that needs some space to grow. And I think, as Peter mentioned, authorizing the use of TIF in this area really allows a win-win, allows the city to get the extension of 33rd Street, which has been in plans for many, many years. So allows at least the start of that, along with opening up an area that has sat vacant for a number of years there and undeveloped. So a really, I think, good win-win for the public and for the private with the use of TIF dollars in this area. We're talking about potential valuation of $28 million project, about $4.6 million in TIF. As Peter mentioned, the project area was the area in pink, if we get our map back up. So this would be the area here that we're working right now on a redevelopment agreement for. What you may see in that agreement is that we're going to further, divide this and maybe leave a portion of that project of that area to the east for a potential future project down the road. But the main focus of the project we're working on right now would be the 200,000 square foot building there for Kinney Manufacturing and its related businesses. There's a preliminary plat that's already been approved for this area, so that's why Rick knows all the details already. We've been through Planning Commission with that. That's been approved. So we're working right now on the details of the redevelopment agreement. We expect to have that coming before you here in December, with the goal to get through our 3 readings in December and have approval before the end of the year. So we'll have a few more details for you at that time, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, or Rick could come back up too, if you want to ask the hard questions.
Questions? I just have one quick question. Looks like the 33rd is a realignment. Is that just for ease of crossing Salt Creek?
Yes, it's
Okay.
basically, following the alignment that they're anticipating in order to cross Salt Creek down there, Tom.
Yeah, very good. Other questions for Danae? Okay, seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Let me just ask council, any other questions for Peter or Rick before we move forward? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5B? Anyone else here for item 5B? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to 5C.
Item 5C is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23015, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster Comprehensive Plan and amendment to the South of Downtown Redevelopment Plan to include the Center Terrace redevelopment project on property generally located at 1000 South 13th Street. The project will include mixed commercial and residential uses to involve the provisions of affordable and workforce housing.
Director Hein, welcome.
Hi, Peter Hein, Director of Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. This is an exciting project for Lincoln. We're asking for a comprehensive plan conformance for this project, the Center Terrace redevelopment project located on 13th Street. On October 18th, under consent agenda, the Planning Commission voted that the plan amendment is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. And the project is bounded by 13th and D, E, and I'll just put up this map so we can put it this way. So you can see 13th Street, 14th E Street on the north, and D Street here. There's an alley that's also going to be vacated for this project, and I'm going to put up another plan because you can see there's parking on the site, and the buildings actually occur over the top of them. The applicant is here. Are you going to show any plans of that? No. Okay. No, that's okay. I can handle it. And so what we're
And we did see some plans of this development a few weeks ago.
Oh, so
as
I can
well.
go through this really quickly then.
We've seen some.
I'll leave this
renderings
here.
and- Yep.
You also know that it was reviewed by the Urban Design Committee, and it's planned to go back to them sometime in February or March, maybe April, to kind of go through those details. And I'll leave it at that, and if you have any questions.
All right, very good. Thank you. Yes, we did see some additional information on the change of zone PUD a few weeks ago. So, council, questions for Director Hein at this point? Yes, Councilwoman.
Obviously, I had a lot of time on my hands. 'Cause I was really looking at this plan quite a lot. And I noticed there might be a small miscalculation on the parking plan that you've got right there. On the south side of East Street, just east of the diagonal parking spaces, there's a notation that says there's 4 spaces when there's actually 3. Go to the,
Bet I can zoom in on this. Look at that. Are you talking about this bank right here?
East.
you know what, I'm looking at a different drawing. I'm looking at an attachment from the summary report. I will let myself be corrected. Maybe the summary report is out of date.
This is the updated plan where we've worked with the applicant, angled parking on E Street that would be aligned with their building. And then across the street as well, aligned with the commercial across the street.
So no parallel parking is
And all of the street parking is the 19 that are public parking. They're not using this, as dedicated parking for the project. The dedicated parking is all on-site. And the PUD showed 0.6 or allowed for 0.6 for parking for the units, and they're at 0.72. So they're a little bit higher than what the PUD allowed.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Director Hein before we move on to the applicant? Okay, see none.
Andrew.
Very good. Andrew, come on down.
Thank you, Director.
Good evening, council members. Andrew Willis, 233 South 13th Street, Lincoln, on behalf of the applicant and developer. So yeah, this project, Center Terrace redevelopment project, located on the former Centerpoint site, 1000 South 13th Street between D and E. Again, it sounds like, at least in some of your minds, it's fresh from the PUD, so we've been through that recently. You've seen that, and so as a reminder, this is a 5-story mixed-use development, approximately 125 multifamily residential units and approximately 6,800 square feet commercial space on the first floor and enclosed parking as well. Again, what we're here for tonight is the amendment of the redevelopment plan for tax increment financing. The key goal here is affordable infill housing. According to the South of Downtown Redevelopment Strategic Plan, in the South of Downtown area, 44% of renters are cost-burdened and 21% are extremely cost-burdened. The South of Downtown Strategic Plan specifically states that housing is a principal concern in the area, particularly as it relates to quality and affordability. This would be a LIHTC, low-income housing tax credit project, and so we're trying to solve that problem. 125 units will go a long ways towards that. But of course, with low-income housing and rent restrictions, you can't bring in as much money as you otherwise could from rent, and that's why tax increment financing is needed. And so this project, the request is $2,430,000 in TIF based on about an $11 to $12 million projected valuation. Again, that'll be used to pay for all those normal costs: site acquisition, site preparation, demolition of the existing building, bringing in some of the, the public parking that we just talked about, streetscape design, right-of-way improvements, all those pieces that are expensive and necessary and will really make this project successful. Again, not only do we have the 125 units of affordable housing, but we've also got the additional community, the Clinic with a Heart space. Again, that was another need that was identified in this area in the strategic plan, was the necessary health-related services. So we're kind of hitting that piece as well here too. And really, this really should be a great addition to the community. I can go into more details. Mr. Hoppy's here as well if you have some more questions, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Mr. Willis? Okay. See none. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5C? Anyone else here on 5C?
This would be Fred Hoppy, 1600 Stony Hill Road, Lincoln, Nebraska. I just have one simple comment, which is we need this amendment to allow us to use tax increment financing. I wouldn't build a project in Lancaster County unless we had tax increment financing. The way the county Board of Equalization is treating low-income tax credit projects now, it's tremendously, maybe the best word's dangerous, to build because we don't know what our cash flows would be. But if we have tax increment financing, we can at least capture whatever increase in taxes they may throw at us through the process of 15 years. So the use of tax increment financing for affordable housing is extremely critical now, primarily because we don't know what our tax situation will be and our valuation situation. So we'd appreciate it if you'd approve the resolution and put us in line to get a redevelopment agreement on this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions for Fred? All right, see none. Thanks, Fred. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5C? Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5C? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to 5D.
Item 5D is miscellaneous 23006, application of the Urban Development Department to declare the College View redevelopment area generally located between South 46th Street on the west, Hillside Street on the north, South 49th Street on the east, and Linden Street on the south, blighted and substandard.
Hi again, Peter Hine, Director of Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. I will just put up the map from the report as a reminder. So as a reminder, 46th Street on the west side and 48th on the east. This blight study is important to aid development in this area. And so a couple of things I'll just mention. So the 4 substandard factors set forth by the Nebraska Development Law, 2 of the factors we have a strong presence in the area, and then another 2 we have a reasonable presence. So dilapidated deterioration in the area, age or obsolescence, inadequate provision of ventilation, light, and air, and any combination of factors that are detrimental to public health, safety, morals, or welfare. So all of these were present in this area. And then if I move to, I won't list all of these, but the 12 factors set forth by the development law, 2 have a strong presence, 7 are reasonable, and 2 represent little or no presence. So significant area that are all contributing to this area. And so I just look to the council to approve this blight study tonight so that we can move forward with other development. Any questions?
Questions for Director Hein? All right.
I just have one question.
Councilwoman, yes, please.
Director Hein, what was the rationale for setting this boundary? Was the boundary presented by the applicant, or was?
That is a great question, and I'm not sure that I can answer it entirely. I wonder if staff could help. Do you know anything about this?
Looks like the applicant is the Urban Development Department.
Hi, Jennifer Hyatt, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street, Suite 205. So I was able to assist slightly on determining the boundaries, and the project came to us. NeighborWorks Lincoln reached out to us with a project in the area. And so our consultant, Hannah Keelan, set the original boundary, which was actually somewhat smaller than this. And I know that Dan Marvin, our former director, and when Yermstead with Urban Development sat down and did reach a slightly different area. They kind of extended a little bit to the north to try and make sure that they encapsulated all of that area around Union College and such. So that's how we got there. Is there?
I just, I was kind of curious because when we see these boundaries and I see that there's a little, they're crenulated, they're not actually just flat smooth, I think, oh, I wonder why there was a need to go over a block or in a block, and I just was curious if that was what made the determination possible.
I know that they were actually very focused on trying to make sure that they captured some of the commercial areas that might be in distress in the area as well. So I think that that's a good reason for some of that carving through.
Okay.
And this neighborhood in particular has an odd zoning outlay to begin with as well.
That is true. It does have an odd, everything about this. So this is actually my neighborhood. I live in this neighborhood, so I have a personal interest in the area. And it is true that we do kind of have a weird subset of uses in the area as well.
All right, thank you.
In the blight studies in general, as they're coming to us, we also look at strategically as trying to capture, whether it's a drainage ditch or a public street or something that, whether it's a bridge or something that needs attention, we capture that so we can get those calculations and analyses for those areas.
Thank you.
Director, and maybe Jennifer, I might drag you back up here. I don't know yet. Do you know, and I apologize for this because I know that you're still relatively new, but do you know if there has been discussion with planning regarding any sort of use overlays here in conjunction with the TIF overlay that we're talking about here in terms of a different or higher and better potential density use in this neighborhood as we also envision TIF redevelopment in this neighborhood as well?
I think you're going to see us working over the next few months and into the new year at looking at overlays, of density and TIF uses and things like that. It's, you know, we want to be careful not to say that it's just a blanket statement, but be more strategic, you know, on various neighborhoods. Anything else to add?
Yeah. So, as this is just the blight study, we haven't brought the plan to you guys at this point. I actually have had a few meetings with planning at this point to discuss how planning and urban development can work together to utilize highest and best use in these areas. So we are actually currently in that conversation as we put together the redevelopment plan.
Okay, very good. I think, you know, generally speaking, as we've seen through a number of years, the discussion in the planning documents of nodes, neighborhood nodes, how we might be able to better and higher use those areas.
I believe that Paul Barnes would just thank you very much for the call out to neighborhood nodes. That was the first item on his agenda when we met to talk.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, in our departments, we speak, you know, weekly, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, and we're having these conversations. They're elevated as we talk about all of these areas, for sure. Yeah.
Happy to hear it. Thank you. Any other questions for Director Hein? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Jennifer, thank you very much. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5D? Anyone else here to speak on item 5D? Jane, welcome.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. This city loves to declare any kind of property blighted. And I don't know how the Seventh-day Adventist people who take pride in their area would feel about this. I don't know that there's anybody here to complain, but maybe they don't know what's going to happen. As I said, over-blighting is rampant in this city for all kinds of projects that people have. And we have so many projects that aren't even being completed at this point. So we would be against having this found to be.
Very good. Thank you, Jane. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item 5D? Wayne, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Beckius and councilors. My name is Wayne Mortensen, CEO of NeighborWorks Lincoln, 2530 Q Street, Lincoln, Nebraska 68503. I was going to spare you guys and save you some time, but I didn't want the balance to tilt. This is a critically important project for this area. This is one of Lincoln's best and most walkable districts, and it's facing a lot of concerns about reinvestment from property owners, from private owners, and from the larger development community. We see this area as a prized and treasured district that we would do anything we could to reinforce its unique assets as a walkable, pedestrian-oriented, and student-focused area that serves the greater region. And that's why we brought forward to the Urban Development Department the ability to do this blight study in tandem with one of the projects that we'll bring back before you again. This boundary, I can share, I was in the room, was developed in concert with those team members, former Director Dan Marvin and Livable Communities Director Wynn Yermstead, explicitly for the reason of including as many of the derelict multifamily structures and borderline commercial facilities as we could in order to create the tools and the incentives for the city and private market to be able to prevent or stall disinvestment and begin the reinvestment process in comportment with the beauty and uniqueness of this district. So I would highly encourage you guys to adopt the plan and stay tuned for the great work that will come as a testament to the beauty and uniqueness of this place.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for Wayne? Wayne, I just have a quick question for you. Can you talk about, as NeighborWorks continues to buy land in this development area that you guys have been doing here for a while now, as you continue to purchase land here in this development, this potential blighted area, what's NeighborWorks' plan for redevelopment of this area?
Sure,
In terms
yeah.
of density specifically? Because
sure.
I think we have an opportunity when it comes to talking about density here.
Yeah. So I think this is a perfect neighborhood for townhouse and row home style development. We are currently focused on property in the southwest corner of this territory, the former community crops garden, that we will be putting 12 mixed income townhomes on. And as with everything we do, our focus is on how we leverage the market if necessary, or how we leverage our subsidies whenever possible to make sure that the homes we build are offered at an affordable rate. The homes that we're looking at in this part of the community are anywhere between $145,000 and $200,000 for purchase price, and will be placed in our land trust, so those will be permanently affordable at those rates. When people decide to sell or move on, they will be then resold to families in the same economic situation that those families were in when they bought. So our goal is a mixed income, thriving neighborhood. We've worked closely with the College View Neighborhood Association, who shares almost all of those same values and the vision for what we're trying to achieve, and is very excited about these next steps.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to testify on item 5D? Anyone else here for item 5D? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to 5E, Madam Clerk.
Item 5E is accepting and approving the reports of new and pending claims against the city for October 16th through October 31st, 2023.
Is there anyone else, is there anyone here to speak on item 5E, new and pending claims against the city? Hello, welcome. You can speak either side, whichever's easiest for you.
Okay, I was just new to this, never been here before.
No worries.
I was denied on my claim for my bike.
Okay. Could you give us your name and your address to start out with?
Christopher Stephen Space.
Okay.
3145 P Street, apartment number 2, 68503.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about the claim that you had submitted to the city?
I was picked up by an ambulance and transported to a hospital. I was unconscious for a day and a half or something. I don't have any memory of this. I woke up in the hospital, but officer failed to secure my BMX bike, and some belongings were left behind, and it got stolen because they were left there, and obviously I was unconscious.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So how this process works is that we will, if counselors want to, ask some questions of city staff
Yeah.
to get a better understanding of the process.
Okay.
And then once we go through that, we will also ask if there are other folks that are in the same position as you that may want to talk to us about new and pending claims against the city.
Okay.
And then if a city councilor decides that they want to remove your claim from the list and talk about it separately or vote on it separately, they can do that at that point in time. And as we go through that process, I'll explain that a little bit to you as we go through that process.
Right.
But anything else you want to add before we talk to city staff?
No, other than I've tried to get the police report, but I have to file some paperwork to get that released to bring. That way I have something to show you guys, and the video of what happened.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for coming down.
Yep.
We'll go ahead and talk to city staff at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman, yes, sorry. We may have some questions for
Could
you.
I ask Mr. Spaeth a question?
Please, sorry,
Okay.
my apologies.
Thank you, Chair Becky. Yes, Mr. Spaeth. I have a question about your accident. You said that you were unconscious, and when you went to the hospital, your bike was left behind.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, were you unconscious because you had an accident on your bike?
I don't fully know. I'm not aware. I was unconscious. I woke up strapped to a bed with tubes down my throat. Like, somebody could have hit me. They said they found me on the sidewalk, but I have no memory of what happened.
Okay.
So I thought, the officer would at least grab my property, but they failed to secure that. So when I came to, I immediately freaked out. I was advised not to leave the hospital against my health. but I left anyways to go pursue where my bike was because I thought it would be at impound, which they've impounded it before, and I went and picked it up, no problem. But claim number, they didn't have my bike. They told me they left it on the street, and that's crazy.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Duden, you had a question.
Do you have a case number from the police department?
Yes, I do.
Can you give it to me?
Want to bring it up to you?
Yeah, sure. Write it down. You know when this took place?
October
27th. Sorry, I'm mom.
Some other paperwork here. This is, I remember it's kind of like a little foggy about it, so.
October 27th. October 27th.
Councilman Duden, any other questions?
No.
Okay.
I think I'd like to make a motion, though, that we look into this.
Do you want to talk to staff before?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Very good. Jim? Yes, sir.
So your bike has been impounded before, and so that was the process that had happened before. They took your bike down to.
When I was incarcerated in jail, and this was a hospital, same thing. I think the officer was securing my property, but it did not happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilman.
Mr. Spaeth, were you in possession then of your bike before becoming unconscious, leading up to the incident?
As far as I'm aware, yes, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Do we have questions for staff? Yes. Okay, very good. Mr. Christie, I think we have some questions for you, sir.
Yancey Christie, City Attorney.
Don't leave.
If you just hold on for just 1 second.
Yep.
Don't leave.
Don't leave yet.
Don't leave yet.
Mr. Christie, please.
Yes. Yancey Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10th.
All right. Mr.
I'll
Christie.
do the best I can.
All right. Do you have a copy of the police report of this incident?
I can certainly get one.
But you don't have it here.
I do have some police reports. Now, the way that this, the reason I'm hesitating is there may potentially be other police reports, but yes, I do have some police reports.
And do you know if this report, in response to whatever the incident was that left Mr. Spaeth unconscious, was the first response an LPD response followed by an LFR response, or how did that happen?
No, the first response was LFR. So when the officer arrived on the scene, Mr. Spaeth was already in the ambulance, and the officer was asked to follow the ambulance. I think they refer to it as code 3, I think, which means get there as fast as you can. I think the request was for the police officer to follow the ambulance and get to the hospital as fast as they could. And he was in the ambulance when the officer arrived, and obviously this was a medical issue, medical concern. He was not in custody with the police officer.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Christie? Councilman.
Thank you, Chair Beckius. City Attorney Christie, what is the normal protocol for LFR, LPD, the City of Lincoln in general in securing personal property in instances similar to a Code 3?
Well, I can tell you that I can tell you what generally happens and how it generally works. Now, I mentioned in custody, obviously, if someone is in custody by the police department, that's different. And I think maybe that was referenced earlier. It could be taken into property. It could be taken to the tow lot, which I believe was referenced as well. If it's a medical emergency, similar process will happen. It probably will not be taken into property, however, because property is usually follows custody or criminal case, but it could be taken to a tow lot. They could come get it. Sometimes it could be taken to the hospital as well. It could also, sometimes it could be secured on the scene. Those are about the 3 scenarios where it will usually happen. Now, with different departments, because sometimes you have LTU as well, which, we're talking about the fire department, the police department, but between those 3 or 4 different scenarios is how it will usually be handled between each department, one of those 3 or 4 ways.
And was that protocol followed in this instance, or?
It sounds like, from the information I have, what I referenced earlier is that I don't know exactly, when, if there was an accident, right? I don't think that anyone witnessed it or when he was found exactly, but it sounds like he was rushed to the hospital immediately. It sounded like certainly when the officer arrived, it was unclear, what was happening, if there was actually an accident with a bike, who the bike belonged to, and those sort of things. And again, was asked to go to the hospital immediately, and that's where they went. I think that they were trying to act quickly to save Mr. Spaeth what looked like a concerning situation.
Yeah. Alrighty, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions for Mr. Christie? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5E? Anyone else here to speak on item 5E, new and pending claims? Okay, seeing none.
Tom, I'd like to make a motion.
We are going to go through our voting session here real quick and vote on resolutions. Yes, ma'am, did you have something that you wanted to speak on?
Yes. I'm his mom, Nita Ogden. I purchased a professional BMX bike for my son when he was 15. I bought it and purchased from Shills right here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that is the bike he was found unconscious by and took him to the hospital, to the ER, rushed by ambulance. And that is why I'm here today, to help him get his bike or reimbursed.
Okay.
That's it. It's his only mode of transportation, because usually I'm working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and move through our voting session here. Madam Clerk, will you call us through that?
Item 5A is approving the City of Lincoln Flood Mitigation Master Plan, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson, discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5B is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23014, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan, a proposed new industrial avenue and Superior Street redevelopment plan that encompasses 153 acres that will include the Kinney Industrial District project for the development of commercial and industrial buildings generally located at 33rd and Superior Streets, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5C is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23015, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster Comprehensive Plan, an amendment to the South of Downtown Redevelopment Plan to include the Center Terrace redevelopment project on property generally located at 1000 South 13th Street. The project will include mixed commercial and residential uses to involve the provisions of affordable and workforce housing. Introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Schob. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
No.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-1. Item 5D is miscellaneous 23006, application of the Urban Development Department to declare the College View redevelopment area, generally located between South 46th Street on the west, Hillside Street on the north, South 49th Street on the east, and Linden Street on the south, blighted and substandard. Introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5E, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for October 16th through October 31st, 2023, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, is there,
I'd like to make a
Councilman,
motion
yes.
that we remove this one claim.
can you,
Second his motion, then.
Mr.
Second.
Spaeth's complaint.
okay, very good. No, not at this time. Very good. And Councilman Schob?
I think Councilman Weber was there.
I just seconded the.
Oh, sorry.
For discussion.
All right, very good. Second, want to have discussion, or you guys want to vote directly, or
Explain why you made the
or give
motion.
some
Okay,
direction?
I'd like to make the reason I'm interested in it is because I'd like to find out what the protocol is, because he's been through this before, where one time they take it into custody, and this time they don't. We don't know when the officer showed up. I mean, he's already in the ambulance. Was he even aware that the bike was there? I'd just like to look at some reports to see exactly what happened for this incident.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilman?
I'm going to support Councilman Duden's motion. I mean, as the former police officer, I'm going to follow his lead on this one.
Anyone else? Okay, see none. Please call the roll. Yes, sir. Mr. Christie, is there something you'd like to add?
Is the request to put it on
Pending status?
Pending?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. That's the word.
I just sort of removed my.
Pending, yeah.
So from denied to pending,
You're
just for, okay.
Correct.
Can we explain what that means to folks?
Well, let's make sure that we have the vote for it, and then we'll explain what that means. Yep.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
No.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Beckius.
No.
Motion carried 5-2.
So what'll happen is that your guys' claim will go into a pending status, at which point in time city councilors and others may request that further investigation take place. At which point in time, after that is done, the claim will come back before us. But the time period is not determined at this point in time. But city law will be in further contact with you about the claim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Back to the main motion.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay. That concludes Section 5, our public hearing resolutions. We shall move on to Section 6, resolutions action only. Item 6A is adopting Lincoln Electric System rate schedules to become effective January 1st, 2024, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Weber. Discussion? See none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 6B is adopting Lincoln Electric System annual budget for 2024 to become effective January 1st of 2024, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second?
Second, Washington, discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sorry about that. Councilwoman, please proceed.
I want to compliment the LES board for taking a really good look at this budget and being very careful or conservative with how they put it together, including the rates that were increased for most parties. But I'm supporting this budget primarily because it makes a number of supplemental investments in goals I think that are important for the city of Lincoln. The investments in workforce and the investments in infrastructure, I think they're going to lead to greater fiscal and operational sustainability for LES. And then the investments they have in the sustainable energy program, I think will also add to the sustainability for LES, both environmentally and when we are making decisions that increase our sustainability, we're stronger and we're more resilient.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to make comments? Okay, seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, that concludes section 6 of our agenda. Section 7 is ordinances, third reading and related resolutions. Item 7A is change of zone 23066, application of Rezac Pickering Williams LLC to change the zone from AG Agriculture District to AGR Agriculture Residential District on property generally located at 1/2 mile south of West Denton Road and along the east side of Southwest 40th Street. Introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Schob, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Carlson?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, that concludes section 7 of our agenda. Section 8 is resolutions first readings or items 8A through 8I. Section 9 is ordinances first reading and related resolutions, items 9A through 9N. Section 10 of our agenda is our pending list date certain, item 10A. And section 11 is our pending list, item 11A.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have now moving on to our public comment section of the City Council meeting. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda, nor plan to appear on a future agenda, may do so now at the open microphone session. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak, regardless of the number of topics. Groups of people who all share the same idea, if they want to, we can have one speaker who speaks for a group, or we can have many individual speakers. It's really up to the group. But sometimes speakers will say, I'm here and I'm joined by these people, and they can show their raise of hands. That's an option if people want to go that route when it comes to testifying as well. One thing I will note, signage, unfortunately, is not allowed in the City Council chambers. So if you could please move that in completely, I would appreciate it showing up on the television monitors. So is there anyone here to speak during public comment session? Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Tu Lee. I reside at 10020 White Pine Road, Lincoln, Nebraska. So I'm here to just bring attention to how devastating it is for Palestinian people in Gaza right now. I know you guys all aware about that, but as a healthcare worker, this is how you do it. So what's showing up here is just the numbers from November 15. Now it's up to 229 healthcare workers that's been killed by Israeli government from October 7 to today. These are all like people like us. So I also have a list of like specifically how many people, like doctors, nurses, dentists, students, medical scientists, occupational physical therapy, pharmacist, lab technician. If I only spend like 2 seconds per each person to name their names, it will take me up to 7 minutes, and I only have 5 minutes here, so I'm not going to do that. I also have a list of journalists from the Committee of Protect Journalists that I've been accusing that day too, and it's only updated to November 18, and these are the numbers. Beside that, we also know there's already 13,500 innocent civilians, more than half as women and kids, and most of the kids is around 5 years old. If I spend only 1 second per each person, it will take me almost 4 hours to go over their names. So why do we need to talk about this here in the U.S. when it's happened all the way over there in Gaza? Because the U.S. government have a lot to do about this, and if anyone can stop this, it's the U.S. government. That is how powerful the U.S. government is. Why should we stop it? I'm not so good with speech, so I'm going to use other people's words. This is from Emmanuel Mahon, a psychologist who worked across the clinic in Gaza. So he says some are ripping out their hair and scratching their thigh till they bleed. They are in extreme distress, leading to self-harm and noticeable behavioral change. The unfortunate act of children having to write their names on their body in case they die is extremely harmful to the child's thoughts. It destroys their mental health. It's like preparing them for death, thirst, making the child more anxious, overwhelmed, and fearful. Jason Lee, Gaza Counter Director of Save the Children, say, time and time again, we've warned that the toll of conflict and the blockade on children's mental health is too great. Even before this escalation, more than half of the parents we spoke to reported that their children were self-harming and experiencing suicidal thoughts. We are running out of words to raise the alarm is in strong enough term to articulate the scale of children's suffering. I genuinely thought our world could not be this horrible. Every single Palestinian right now feels humanity is a delusion. The world is deaf to our suffering, and we are being eliminated while the world is watching. If my hands survive, this is my name. This is how devastating it is for a child to write that. Instead of writing their names on their homework, they're preparing for death. What is a cruel world we live in? Without an immediate ceasefire, there is very risk that children's mental health will be pushed to the point to no return. Every day of violence means more mental health and physical scar will be last a lifetime. So we're moving to a very dangerous direction. That inequality become very significant. When people get pushed to a corner, they have nothing to lose, so they definitely going to fight back. I think freedom for Palestinians is just inevitable. The more we push it back, the more consequence that we and later generation will have to bear. I'm just a normal Vietnamese girl. I don't read the news. I feel really guilty because I didn't know about any of these until around the 20th of October. So I feel like if somebody like me can recognize how Israeli government doing is very wrong and shockingly horrible, anyone with an open mind and open heart can see it. We can start with just one email, one call to your senator, a post on social media, go to a protest, talk to one.
You've reached your 5-minute limit. If you could please wrap up in about 5 seconds.
Yep. Talk to a worker or something. Just please don't pretend that this terrifying act is not happening. The U.S. have a lot to do with it. So practice your true democracy and be on the right side. I bet it feel really good.
Yep. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to address the council during public comment? Is there anyone else here who would like to address the council during public comment? Please come forward. And you can actually come on down and get on the other side of the, you can testify out here on this side. Jane, please go ahead.
If anyone listens to the news today,
Jane,
I'm sure.
Can you please start out with your name and address, please?
I don't give my address. I'm with the Watchdogs, and you have that on record. Anyone who listens to the news at this time and day and age is going to be familiar with TikTok. A few weeks ago, at a budget hearing and in a private gathering, John Carlson mentioned in a budget hearing that the city had gone on TikTok to get more applications for lifeguards at the city pools. He was not secretive about this. In fact, he was very open about how successful it had been. 2 states have banned TikTok, Utah and Maryland, and several others are in the process. It is run by a company that is beholden to the Communist Party in China. The mayor apparently allowed this to happen with her budget hearing and also announced it to the public. And so now every person in Lincoln, Nebraska and surrounding areas that has done business with the city will be subject to having their personal information obtained by a foreign entity. Now, we're not saying that this has happened, but the federal government is even concerned about it. If you are a Democrat, here is a statement from the Biden-Harris administration. We have been heavily invested in defending our nation's digital infrastructure and curbing foreign adversaries' access to Americans' data. We believe that this was a dereliction of duty, or at least ignorance on the mayor's part for allowing this to happen here in Lincoln, Nebraska. We do know that she traveled to communist China several years ago as a private citizen, but a guest of the members of the Democrat Party, to spend several weeks in China. She certainly needs to be advised of such by members of the city council, unless you're in agreement with what has happened to us as citizens. Security firms have found that TikTok trackers are on websites of states and government organizations. Recently, House Republicans are expected to move forward with a bill that will give Biden the power to ban TikTok nationwide. The legislation proposed by Representative Mike McCall looks to circumvent the challenges the administration would face in court if it moved forward with sanctions against the social media company. Now, there are those who believe that freedom of speech would be curtailed if this happened. But in times of serious events in the world that have threatened the United States in some manner, that has been moved forward with the protection of the First Amendment. Probably more information needs to be gathered And 2/3 of the teenagers in the United States will be very angry if TikTok is taken from the airwaves or the television waves.
You've reached your 5-minute limit, Mr. Kinsey. Or Ms.
So we
Kinsey,
ask
thank you.
that the mayor make some statement that she show to the people of Lincoln that they are protected in some way, or that their information will be protected, because the inference is that it has not been.
Thank you. Other testifiers, if we have more, please come on forward. If we have other testifiers, please come on down. We're going to go back and forth from one podium to the other. So if we have a second testifier who's ready, go ahead and come on down here in preparation for the next round. Please, welcome.
Thank you. Is my time starting now?
It is.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. For one, not even.
Your name and address.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. For one, Anna Sinya, 3022 Browning Street, 68516. Thank you. That's where I live. Don't visit me, please. For one, on the TikTok side, I'm not even concerned about freedom of speech. I just think it's fun. I'd be really sad. So entertaining. Anyways, that's not really what I came to talk about today. So my name's Anna. I'm a Ukrainian American here. For one, I hope that you continue to support Ukraine, but that's not primarily here. I'm also Jewish, and I have connections to the Holocaust, pogroms, and Israel. And I want to make it known that my heart breaks for Palestine. I remember finding out that the hospital I was born in Ukraine was destroyed not too long ago, that residential buildings we're in are being targeted, that relatives were being tortured, still are being tortured in occupied territory, and the churches I had visited were completely wrecked. For that reason, I'm here to stand in solidarity with the Palestinians. I think that it's really common to view us as like separate groups who have nothing in common, but both of us are experiencing occupation, both of us are experiencing torture, and really intense violent abuse. And so I ask you to, maybe open your hearts to, at the very least, learning about these struggles in the same way. If you do ally yourself with Ukraine, I ask you to look at the similarities between our experience and the Palestinian experience, along with many other global experiences in terms of, mass destruction, killing of civilians, destruction of hospitals, all things that are occurring in both places. On the other side of things, I just wanted to talk about the state-to-state cooperation, Nebraska and Israel website by the Jewish Virtual Library. Oh, thank you. That just talks a little bit about our exports to Israel, total exports to Israel, and Nebraska's rank as an exporter to Israel, and our connections. I know it's really easy to feel like with both Ukraine and Israel's actions, like, what does this have to do with Lincoln? I mean, we have a lot of Ukrainian Americans, so I would hope that you're not feeling that way. But monetarily, there's a lot going on between us and Israel. Regardless of how you feel, I feel that at the very least, you should at least know the numbers, right? And know what's going on there, because you will definitely be hearing from more individuals who are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause in the future. So I feel like that's the least you could do. And yeah, this website is just extremely informative in terms of that. And grants. The photos of large-scale destruction that reach us from Gaza point to the violation of international humanitarian law by the Israeli army, and at the same time remind me of last year's photos from Mariupol, Bakhmut, and this year from Kherson, which is where I was born, in Ukraine. Just like Russia and Ukraine, Israel's bombing residential areas, evacuation corridors, and the checkpoint, the only exit point from the city. All of these things draw very intense parallels to the experience of my relatives in Kherson, who were often barely able to escape. And are still going through those daily bombings, my grandparents, but it shouldn't have to take, someone like me saying our experience is very similar for you to find that to be compelling. And kind of feel bad that, I feel like that's the case in Lincoln. With the Russian invasion, we saw how little the international community knows about Ukraine's history to this day. And the relationship between Ukraine and Russia. Today, I still, get asked, like, is the war even going on? Or are you not just Russian? But what do we even know about the history of Palestine, right? That issue is even further in terms of a lack of education. So I call on you to call for a ceasefire, condemn war crimes, stand against Islamophobia and all hate at the very least, right? Sure, it has not reached, fully our communities yet, but it is definitely coming. You know, I'm also concerned about anti-Semitism, but I think that if we're going to speak on anti-Semitism, we also have to speak about Islamophobia, hatred against any religion. Really comes from the same point of like bigotry and ridiculousness. And I think that at the very least we can know that those things are bad. But yeah, thank you for hearing me speak today. Hope you have a nice evening. But also be reminded that individuals in Syria, Ukraine, and Palestine will not be having a nice evening and will likely see their family members be murdered right by the end of this day.
Thank you. If there is anyone else who would like to testify after this testifier, please come up and situate yourself at the microphone. Thank you. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, I'm Majee Miller Jenkins. I'm not going to say my address because I wrote it down, so you have it on record.
Okay.
Today, I'd like to bring up mirrors and reflections. When you brushed your teeth this morning, what did you see in the mirror? Was it the reflection of a freedom fighter or that of a complacent cog? Follow-up question, do your actions today match your answer? Each of you has made commitments to protecting green spaces, yet each of you failed and voted in favor of the Manzito project desecrating Snell Hill right here in Lincoln. We don't have to look far to see colonization. It's happening right now in our backyard. Each of you claims to be democratic, yet while in positions of power, you ignore we the people telling you to fund our communities, not our local oppressors, the police. 3 years ago today, I received a concussion from the Omaha's oppressive force while in the streets demanding the release of footage of one of their murder victims, Kenneth Jones. 3 years later, today, I'm standing in a room with a civilized version of an oppressive force, and that's you. I want to take this opportunity to let each and every one of you know that we see you. We see you stay silent in public conversation while patting us on the back behind closed doors. We see your silent social medias, because I checked, and they're silent. There's genocides happening, and that's a shame. We see your lack of altruism and your lack of authenticity and your grab for power. We see you. And if you thought that platitudes and promises would take you forward, I would like the honor of ushering you into a new era. When your personal life does not reflect your promises, when your political life does not reflect the will of we, the people, expect people like me to start standing up and handing you a mirror. Many newscasters and politicians, and apparently elderly people inside of our own community, are speaking about the differences in Gen Z's culture and how they're shifting the narrative by focusing on primary news sources like TikTok instead of the bought and paid for mainstream news media, which has been doing a disservice. I'm proud of them. In 44 days, I have witnessed men, women, and children in pieces, in grocery bags, under rubble, under tanks, on fire. 17 active genocides are happening right now globally. And in this room, you choose to vote through an inflated police budget that allows for the continued slavery and incarceration and brutality that your predecessors have ushered in. Shame on you. Shame on you for every chip in your ethics that you allowed. Shame on you for every vote that was swayed in the name of money and power. Shame on you for sitting in a position of power and not halting the colonial machine with your place of privilege. We expect and we demand more from each and every one of you. I will never again vote for a rich man. I will never again vote for another politician that does not support a free Palestine. I will consistently and loudly be here to hold you and all other elected officials accountable for your actions and lack of actions, because you obviously need it. Land back for Palestine. Land back for Turtle Island. By the millions, by the billions. We are all Palestinians, and I would like to take the rest of my time as a moment of silence for the millions and millions of people that are experiencing genocide that we are funding with our tax dollars, and the genocide that's happening right here locally that you are funding with your vote every time you choose to vote in the police budget.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
I still have a minute, and I would like that time as a moment of silence.
And you don't intend on speaking at all?
I'm going to use that time as my moment of silence for the genocide.
Very good.
Shame on the lot of you. I hope you learn from this moment and do better.
If we have another testifier who's ready to please go ahead and situate yourself at the podium. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
The floor is yours.
My name is Khadija Abuzaho. I'm going to omit my address just for safety reasons. Before I start, I want to say I hope you guys listen to all of our voices with an open heart and with empathy, rather than just staring us down without emotion. I'm not Palestinian, but I'm North African. Like all, if not most of you, I'm a byproduct of settler colonization. My Libyan and Moroccan ancestors survived French and Italian settler colonization and a fascist genocide. I am also a descendant of those who colonized the land of the indigenous African people, and I stand here today to say no to illegal occupation and the displacement of all indigenous people. I'm here to advocate, as I can't stand by as history is repeated. I stand here to demand for our city council members to release a statement condemning the genocide of the Palestinian people and to call for a ceasefire. Israel has committed war crime after war crime, and the U.S. must break ties with countries that act in such ways. Although the attack of Palestinian civilians has been ongoing since before October 7th, I will begin by reading to you the quotes from Israeli government officials that have been said or written after the 7th of October. Now there's only one goal, Nakba, or the catastrophe, a Nakba in Gaza that will dwarf the Nakba of 1948 by Ariel Kalner, Israeli politician of the Likud party. It is an entire nation who are responsible. This rhetoric about civilians supposedly not being involved is absolutely untrue, and we will fight until we break their backs. Yitzhak Herzog, president of Israel. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting animal people. Yoav Gallant, defense minister of Israel. Wipe out their families, their mothers, and their children. These animals must not be allowed to live any longer. Ezra Yakin, veteran of the Israeli army. We are dropping hundreds of bombs on Gaza. The focus is on destruction, not accuracy. Daniel Hagari, Israeli army spokesman. These are quotes from Israeli leaders themselves. These are the very people who we fund, who govern the state of Israel. By telling everyone that Palestinians are animals makes it easier for the world to justify their killing. Israeli leaders use vocabulary that describe genocidal tactics used to ethnically cleanse a certain population. Craig Mokhiber, top UN official in New York who has served the UN since 1992, calls Israel's acts as a textbook case of genocide. Why do we send billions of dollars in aid to Israel, where citizens get free healthcare, but the US has the most expensive healthcare globally? Since the 7th of October, Israel has killed at least 13,000 people, almost half of them children. This number does not include those still lying under the rubble. There are lifeless bodies waiting to be found. Pregnant women are giving birth and having C-sections without anesthesia. Doctors are performing surgeries with phone lights as an alternative to no electricity. Bodies are being deformed and limbs are being lost due to the ongoing bombing of innocent Palestinian civilians. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess most of you are mothers or fathers, grandparents, aunts or uncles. What if these children were yours? As you give your children a warm dinner tonight, tuck them into bed, and give them a nice breakfast in the morning, I want you to look at them and imagine yourself looking into the eyes of a Palestinian child whose only crime was to be born Palestinian. American children and Palestinian children are not any different. They are both children who deserve to live their lives in safety and comfort. As we have seen throughout history, time and time again, those involved in crimes against humanity will always face consequences. It is crucial that we save the fate of the United States, as its aid in genocide and recurrent war crimes may result in us paying for the consequences in the near future from aiding the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and having blood on our hands. So once again, I demand our city council members to call for a ceasefire, end the blockade, and condemn the genocide. Ceasefire, end the siege, divestment. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinian. Thank you.
Thank you. If we have another testifier who's ready, go ahead and come up here to the second podium. Hello, welcome. The floor is yours.
Salam alaikum. Sorry, my voice is still kind of messed up from the protest, but my name is Yahya. I'm from Bosnia. I'll omit my address, but I want to speak on this issue in Gaza. So I'm going to go kind of, I guess, look at beyond the surface also. Ever since I can remember, America's biggest fear has been that if another country took over our government, we'd be in big trouble. That may have already come true. From what I'm learning is that Zionism has quietly crept in the U.S. political system and has been corrupting and manipulating the U.S. government through the central banking financial system. Israel has made enemies with its neighbors and also making unfair business practices with their business partners. Now that they're exposed and getting resistance, they want our hard-earned tax dollars to support their military operation that has violated international law and the law of warfare. Not to mention the oppression, the open-air prison, the blockade, no running water, no electricity, no medicine, no food, no fuel on top of that. I seen a report just last night, Gaza and the West Bank had about 27 running hospitals. Now there are 9 left. According to a health cluster report on occupied Palestinian territory reported by the World Health Organizations, they're attacking hospitals, they're attacking civilian infrastructure, you name it, mosques, schools, churches, ambulances. This is illegal. This is beyond illegal. I say, let them pay for their own war. We have plenty of issues that we have to tackle right here in our own state and in the U.S. Inflation, poverty, hunger, drugs, fentanyl overdose, gun violence, you name it. The challenges, they're all here, all across the board. Looking ahead, there's a new financial system already built, and they have tested it and are getting ready to implement it starting January 2024. If the U.S. keeps sending money to Israel after it has committed just about all violations, if not all, we risk losing a chance at the round table of BRICS. Also, a good standing relations with the countries that are supplying our fuel, our oil. We demand a ceasefire now. We need our people in power of this state to apply pressure to the White House and everybody in Congress. Ceasefire now. We demand the removal of the blockade, the entire occupation, so the aid can be supplied. The innocent children, women, and men need water, food, medicine, electricity, and fuel. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Since I have some time, I'll go ahead. Let me see. I think I actually mentioned everything, which I'm surprised. I thought it was going to take a lot longer. But again, I want to then reiterate on attacking civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, ambulances. And obviously we have seen the death toll of healthcare workers. These people are not running a military operation. They're killing everybody in sight. This is unacceptable. And I don't want a penny of my tax dollars to go in that direction, to kill anybody, any children. Because now, if this war goes any further, other players get involved, then let's say now we are facing challenges with China or Russia. Who is to say that they will have any mercy on us because we didn't have any mercy on the Palestinians? So anyways, let's go ahead, have a moment of silence, please.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
If we have another testifier who's ready, please come forward. Hello, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name's Trevor Ertz on 1801 J Street, and I'm here again because of what's going on in Palestine. I'm gonna just ask questions. I don't expect people to respond or anything like that. But what happens when they stop cutting off supplies to hospitals? What happens when they kill all the Palestinians? What happens then? They're already talking about going to Lebanon. They bomb Syria. They bomb Egypt. The aggressors are like, the Middle East is a powder keg, and Israel is trying to ignite that powder keg and drag more people into this. And yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you. If we have another testifier that's ready on this side, it is open. Hello, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Kayshawn Lungelo, 323 North 44th Street. I'm here for the same cause. I don't really have anything prepared, but I just came here to say my bit since I'm a citizen of the United States. There needs to be an immediate ceasefire. I cannot emphasize enough that there can be no apartheid. There cannot be like Israel committing its war crimes without our funds, our taxpayer money going to there. It's already 66% of Americans, I believe, that do not support this and support an immediate ceasefire. I am with them. I do not want my taxpayer money going to support killing innocent people. We already seen the bombings of hospitals, refugee camps, schools. We're seeing, like they said already, a bunch of kids are being killed, and like, it's brutal what I've been seeing. What's already been said, you got kids and like people carrying lifeless kids, their bodies are being separated. They have been committing surgery or doing surgeries on these kids without any like drugs to help them out with it. It's just brutal and needs to stop now. That's all I have.
Thank you. We have a podium open here if there are other testifiers. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Merritt. I live at 2315 D Street, and I'm just here in support of everything that's been said. You know, it's really difficult to hear these words as citizens. You know, it's difficult to realize one's complicit nature, you know, when it comes to things like genocide. So just in peace and love and respect, I'm reaching out, but I'm also very, very angry. I'm very angry with what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, it's been happening for a lot of years. The Palestinian people have been treated very, very poorly for a very, very long time. You know, and much like in South African apartheid or other terrible genocides like some of the other fine testifiers, much, much greater than myself, 17 genocides. It's mind-blowing, you guys. So I'm just asking you if you could all like reach into your hearts, you know, try to practice some, in your mind anyway, some multiculturalism that we hope will lead to better world legislation. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to testify? I'm sorry, it's only one time per.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. Anyone else here who'd like to testify? Welcome.
My name is Aurangzeb. I live here in Lincoln. Actually, on 23rd is going to be my, what they call. I moved on 23rd November 2003 here in Lincoln. And I have a lot of going on in last 3 weeks. My dad in emergency right now. I should be translating for him, but I care other people too. So that's the reason I came here to talk about, you know, one, my friend, she messaged me on this morning and very heartbroken. This one I can show you picture. This one is a sent by my one friend. She is a Palestinian. She live in here in Lincoln. Her niece got arrested 2 years ago, and she was only 14-year-old. And I think today, Zionist judge decide to give her 16 years for jail, doing some stuff. Maybe she say freedom for Palestine. That's all. And they pick up her from her school. And now she becomes 16-year-old. And they say you have to serve 12 years more and total 10 years because she did one thing, because she stand for her own right. And I just want to show her picture and see if you guys can do something, because I keep coming here because we vote for you and we think, you're going to present us in White House and ask them to cease fire right now, because you guys all have a connection with these people. Sorry, this is her picture. I don't know, you can see there. I think everything shut off or what. And she's right now I think she's a 16-year-old. And her aunt live here in Lincoln, Nebraska too. And she got arrested 2 years ago. And no judge gave her, I think is a 16-year jail. So just for stand for freedom of what you call, for Palestine. So anyway, I just requesting you, I don't know, you call anybody last time I request. I'm just asking you question. Did you guys call your senator or congressman for ceasefire? Anybody else? You guys from 7 member? Did you guys call? I'm asking you question. Tom Bickers.
I apologize. We typically do not answer questions from the dais. This is your time to testify to us.
Okay. So I'm just asking again, if you have a time tonight, tomorrow, just email to your senator and congressman, ask them to vote for ceasefire, because this is a genocide. And I'm pretty sure one day we're going to die. Whoever in this room after 100 years or 50 years, we're not going to live on this earth. And, people believe different God, but all religion and non-religion, they believe that. And after that, we believe we're going to face Allah, God, and He's going to ask us question. Prophet Muhammad say, if you see anything going on in front of your eyes, just use your hand to stop them. If you can do, just do verbally to tell them, hey, you doing wrong, please don't do that. If you can't do this one, just feel your in heart. This guy doing wrong. And this is last humanity you have in your heart. After this one, you not be considered as a human. So I'm just asking you, please just, ask your senator, congressman. I know you total 6, you are Democrat. You can call your president too and ask them to cease fire. And please stop killing innocent Palestinian kids, women, and men. We are human. I always say, some people say you do some philosophy, but this not my philosophy, but I'm just saying, if you see an animal like a lion, he never kill other lion, he kill deer. If you see a cat, she eat a rat, she never eat other cat. But we are human and we kill other human. That's so sad. So please, I'm asking you, if you can do, if you pass some resolution, I don't know, next time if we come here, please give us time to, is in your agenda, if you can, because I feel, we all are lost, but we should be a first, because humanity is a first. Other structure, is a water supply or other, should be a second, because if human not live in this earth.
We've reached the 5-minute time limit. I apologize.
Okay. So I'm asking, I'm requesting you, please, if you can do anything, please do it and stop this war and stop genocide. Thank you. God bless you.
If there's anyone else to testify, please go ahead and take this open spot. Hello, welcome.
Hello, sorry, I just had to run in here. Give me a second to catch my breath. My name is Anastasia Finner. I live at 2315 D Street. I'm here for the people of Palestine, here to tell you again that we are still engaging in genocide with over 13,000 people killed, half of them being children. This very city manufactures war, both in the jobs at General Dynamics and in our tax dollars. But you, the city council member, you have power and influence. You are a piece of the United States government, and you can call for a ceasefire and demand the killing. Think about the amount of the power that is in that, the kind of influence that you have to influence other people's minds, to show people how to get engaged. You have the infrastructure, you campaign to get here, you clearly know how to get a message out. So you could get this message out if you truly wanted to. I've actually been thinking about how many of my friends are incredibly surprised at what's been going on lately, but I'm not. Come to find out that General Dynamics has been funding the war effort since, Korea, so that means they've been involved in Vietnam, in Iraq, Afghanistan, and if you don't know that basically all of those were wrong, that we were killing civilians the entire time, we never had a legitimate reason to be in any of those places, maybe you could understand that now is an important time to also speak out. I don't know if you know, but I'm sure you do, because there have been other people that have told you, not just this week, but for past weeks as well, that they're also targeting hospitals and refugee camps and churches and mosques. Is that something that all of you are cool with your money being spent on? Some of you, I think maybe it is, because you're invested in real estate, and that's kind of the issue that's going on. But, if you're not, you could take a side. You could do something, stand up, speak against it, because this also isn't the first time that the United States has been involved with the bombing of hospitals. I don't know if any of you recall, but we had also bombed Kunduz, I believe in 2014 or 2015, and I'd remembered writing an incredibly sad poem in one of my creative writing classes about it, because I was at the time, barely being able to be old enough to vote, and I was like, surely this can't be going on, but lo and behold, here we are, almost a decade later, and here we are bombing hospitals yet again with stuff that was made right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's incredibly disappointing to see a modern government complicit in such ancient crimes, right? I mean, how many times is the United States going to actively displace people? I mean, are you aware that they're also, forcing people to march 12 hours a day, no food, no water, no looking back, elderly people in their 70s, children. I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of hard to wake up and see a new tragedy every day on your phone, while even what's made your phone is also a tragedy of what's going on in Congo. So, I don't know, does it stop with you? Are you going to speak up on it? Understand that, you have power to create and to destroy, and clearly you've exercised that power. I've seen you exercise that power. I've seen you decide to build things where they shouldn't be built and deny things that shouldn't be built, right? So you have the power to do good. You just have to, make an effort. I know that y'all got some sort of campaign contributions. I know that y'all got some sort of friends that can pick up a phone. Y'all can pick up a phone. Y'all can demand a ceasefire. I mean, is it not your duty to protect people, to protect the interests of the people that voted you in? Well, it wasn't me, but the other people that voted you in for sure. And that includes, protecting what we want our money to go to. We would rather have our money go to, jobs that don't murder people, housing people, food security, because I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of people struggling, like right here in your hometown, and maybe we could use that money instead of, killing people that we don't know. We could maybe use that, keep it here, fund ourselves. Just a thought.
Is there anyone else here who would like to testify today during public comment? Anyone else here who would like to testify during public comment? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes,
Motion carried 7-0.
we are adjourned.